Hi guys, this is BRaditech. In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at the basic forms in HTML. So we're not going to go into too much detail, as we will go into more detail later on in this series. But we will look at forms in this tutorial. So the first thing to make a form, obviously, is to include the tag form. And usually we would give the form a name, and I'm going to call it form1, as that's one of the forms and something to call it. There are other attributes we can use like action, method, but we might look into them later. So I'll close the form. And inside a form, what we would usually include would be like buttons, checkboxes, input boxes, input text boxes, so that the user can input some text, submit, and all of data inside the form will be then transmitted somewhere else, and then something like that. So it's like basically a contact us form. The user fills it out, they click submit, and all their details are sent to the business. So yeah, so inside a form we would put input tags. So the first input tag we would think of would be a text. So type equals text. That's just a basic text box. And I could name it as input name. I'll just make it so it's like an email form. So it's underscore name. And I'll give it a value of nothing. We do not have to include this value attribute if it's nothing, but I'm going to anyway. I'm just going to close the input tag, and I'm just going to span here, say name. And drop this down, and or I could just put the whole thing in paragraph tags. That would be better. So I'm just going to duplicate this down, and I'm going to now have a password. So if we want a password, we don't need to actually like go into lots of coding to like make it so that the letters don't appear up and it just appears as dots. All we need to change is to change the type from text to password. So that is how we would do a password field. So this is just basic form. So everything you would just put in here. And finally, I'm just going to put a button in. So find the end of this one. Input type equals button. Now give it a value of submit. And then we're looking in our browser. So as you can see, this is the type of form you would see when you're like signing into a web page or signing up for a newsletter or something like that. You insert your name, so and you insert a random password, and then you click submit. Now obviously I haven't told my button to do anything, so I can't click it. However, if we want the form to go somewhere else when we click the button without having the on-click attribute, as we will look into that later in the tutorial series, put action equals the web address that you want to go to, or a function. So I'm going to put that, and I'm going to go type equals button to submit. So if you have an action field, an attribute in your form tag, you need to have the input type as submit. At least one of your buttons as submit, as that triggers the action. So I'll go and refresh it now. I'll just click submit, and as you can see, it loaded up this page without having too much trouble. So let's go back. So that is basic form. So that's really how to do a form. There are other input types which we'll look into later in the series, but that's really how to create a form and what it does. Um, there is also another attribute in forms, so I don't quite understand yet, but there's get and post. We will look into them more later in the series as well. Thank you very much. Be right back.